인어코분에서 게임을 시작합니다.
All right, we have Ample over to the left side, and Bingsu or Morangi down at the bottom. I want to talk about these two players and this matchup on this map just for a moment. Again, I went to Spawn Bang. For anyone who doesn't know what Spawn Bang is, the pro gamers, a part of the living that they make is through playing sponsored matches on stream where fans put up money and then they play for it. So it's a very popular thing within the Korean scene, and it's like sponbang.com/BJ will bring you to the page. And if you can read Korean, you can have a great time looking through the stats there. Now, for this map, again, for all the maps, I got the top 20 players of each race and went through. So for Intercoven, for Terran versus Protoss, it's a 65% win rate for Protoss. And there's only 2 Terrans that do not have losing records on this map. One is Light, who sits at 50%, and the other is Ample, who actually has a winning record here.
Interesting.
And you're going to see that for a few of our very weird maps this season. The Terran players who have the best records on those maps, the very, very weird maps that are hard for Terran, are the most aggressive players. Players like Ample, players like Sharp, okay? And so Ample, he's one of the most aggressive Terran players out there. Expect this game to be probably a 2-base timing attack.
Yeah. One thing, too, just a few features, since this is an island-ish map. Protoss, they can't fit a lot of Dragoons into shuttles, but getting 2 Reavers in a shuttle is quite strong. The Terran mode of transportation on an island map is the dropship. A lot of times we'll see that filled up with Goliaths, which are obviously great against other air units, but not so good against ground. The Wraith is a very natural counter to a shuttle. But of course, a Corsair is a very natural counter to a Wraith. But I'm not sure how much you want to invest in Corsairs, because if the Terran does get a superior ground army and drops somewhere and you're outgunned, that's problematic. But historically, on the earlier island maps in this matchup, Protoss was considered the strongest, but those maps were designed a little bit differently. Those maps, you had one base.
Yeah.
And now they have island maps, for instance, Sparkle, where you start out with extra access to bases within your own island. We've also had maps where you start out on an island, but the rest of the map is connected by land. I think it seems that map makers have since then abandoned that. I'd be curious to see what games in the modern era would look like if players approached those, again, with what we know now. But yeah, Protoss seem to have an upper hand on island maps, and with some of the adjustments that very creative, smart map makers have made on some of these maps that allow us to explore the game and how it operates, it seems like unintentionally that's caused a little bit more harm to Terran as far as win-loss ratio goes.
Yeah, Terran has a hard time because if you make the map so that Zerg can play it and it's an island map, then Terran will never beat Zerg.
And let's point out real quick here, Zerg was originally the weakest race on the earliest island maps.
Yes, because if you have only 1 gas, you can't win as Zerg. But as soon as you start giving them extra gases for free, they become super powered, and only the Corsair can really counter that. Real quick about those tiles, it totally didn't strike me, and someone tweeted at me. They're actually, of course, they're underground, so they're invisible, which is why Zerg can kill them and Terran and Protoss can't. Anyways, that aside, on this map, I'd be surprised if Ample goes for things like dropships. I think what you want to do, and what I've seen be most successful on this map for TVP, is you just do a 2-base timing through the center. You can kill all the buildings and just attack Protoss and see how that goes. But obviously it's tough.
By the way, in case people are confused, that engineering bay is there because it makes the probes not mine as efficiently. Very cheap to do, and you can cancel it once they almost kill it. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think a 2-base timing can be very strong moving through this map, but if you end up preventing that 2-base timing attack from happening, just like most 2-base timing attacks coming from a Terran, if you stop it, their options in the later part of the game are almost none at the highest level of play.
And to to make this really clear for people that don't know, and it's fine that you don't know because it's kind of complicated. No one ever talks about island maps, really.
Yeah, even if you watch a lot of StarCraft.
Yeah. But basically, carriers are really good even on a ground map where Terran has its strongest units, right? So there's no anti-air that can deal with carriers on a map that is... Valkyries don't work. A lot of people are like, what about Valkyries? Can't you go Valkyries? Didn't they fix the bug and remastered so they can all fire? Yes, they did, but they don't actually do anything.
Right.
It's like the interceptors will go back in before they pop. You'd have to have an unbelievable supply of Valkyries. It absolutely does not work. Wraiths suck and battlecruisers suck. Battlecruisers actually beat carriers, but what they don't beat is stasis.
Yeah.
If you go battlecruisers, because a lot of people don't realize that the counter to battlecruisers from Protoss, you would, if it weren't for the spell stasis, you could actually go battlecruisers. Like that would be a real thing.
Yeah. Stasis Storm is very good.
Like you can kind of run from just about everything. I guess mind control could be used or something, but like it's really what you do is you stasis half the VCs. GG! Look at that. Your other half's dead, and then when those ones wake up, they're dead. But yeah, so I guess we'll see how this goes. It looks like right now Harangi is going for a couple gates. He's going for Observer and all that with the Robotech. We have the Starport out for Ample. Excited to see how that goes. If he can get any actual harassment done with that. Looks like we are getting ready right now for carrier tech.
Yeah, now if the carriers get high enough in number, I think most analysts would agree that the Terran's probably zoned out of a real opportunity to win here.
Yeah.
But there's ways to play around that. I mean, in that case, the Terran wants to end the game. A lot of times in certain matchups in StarCraft 1 and 2, one race is required to push before the other gets too strong. And that's probably going to be a feature on this map as well.
So here come the Vultures, actually. They're going to run into the main base. Let's see what they can get done. They're actually trapped behind that goon, so that's a little bit tough. A nice probe drill here.
Yeah, actually, this is not doing anywhere near as much.
Oh, you know what? This is a fair amount of probes he got, though. That was not too bad.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess he already knows the carriers are coming, even if he doesn't see it.
Yeah, it's one of the, a lot of the times as a Terran, you just assume Arbiter on most maps. Here, you just know that it's not Arbiter because that would be like, what? You didn't want to win the game? Like, what?
You
Carriers
wanted to make it
just...
possible for Terran to come back in this, and you wanted to win in a weird way?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll become a meta thing. I doubt it, but you know what I mean?
That would be the weirdest thing ever if this turned into an Arbiter map somehow.
I just get ready for their timing attack and stop it with my Arbiters and then win. And then I go carriers and win.
I'm pretty sure you can go carriers and stop the timing attack, but look at this. He's laying the mines now. This is actually some good mine laying for sure. Let's see how many probes he actually gets, though. Okay, he sees that the carriers are already being built. He's getting a really decent amount of probes, man. Like, he's just throwing away vultures for these. He sees the timing of the carriers pretty clearly. That's some good stuff, but is he going to have an attack that can move through and actually do something?
He's got cannons in the main, right? Because cannons with the carriers can make it really tough to push any further, right? If you have cannons set up, they have to push that. The carriers come out and gun down any tanks or anything like that.
Yeah, you could go for something like that. I feel like he'll just make the carriers right now. He's lost enough probes. I don't think he really wants to make any cannons probably right now. He is bringing 2 drop ships. What is this? Very interesting play. You never really see 2 drop ships in this matchup.
So those drop ships are coming down now.
Oh my god. The goons are so out of position here.
They actually have to move through that pretty narrow bottleneck for the gateway and the pylons.
And look at that. He actually blocked that goon for so long. Oh, he is so lucky that actually that goon died before it triggered the mines. Oh my god. This drop is doing so much.
The carriers are out. One's out. We don't have any interceptors with it yet, though. It would really help him out if he could start getting interceptors and just kill off these tanks. Oh, glitching with the Dragoons. They didn't quite fire there. Okay, and so there's a moment. There's a little bit of silence here before Terran picks up and attacks it again.
2 more dropships coming across the map. He's killed a lot of the units. He's killed a lot of the probes. He's been harassing nonstop here. But is all of this enough? Can Harangi sit in his base, trying to defend, lose bunches of probes, and still just make carriers and win?
I don't think so. But we'll see here. The 2 tanks are out. Again, you know, with that cannon being killed, the cannon really allows the vultures to not just kill all the probes during the drops. You can pull the probes away in time to not be hit by the tanks, but the vultures are a real threat here. As you can see, they're diving in once more, and the probe count's getting so low that you can't even saturate every mineral patch with this.
He does not have a whole lot going on economy-wise right now. His natural has pretty good saturation, but it's also a misplaced nexus, right? An off-center nexus, so like the economy of bingsu is very, very weak right now. But we don't really have a lot of tanks or anything. He's going cloak rates. Okay, that's actually, I like that.
It's great against a Protoss player who's limping through the mid game like this to go for rates, because even if they have an observer, if you have enough rates, you can usually just scan and kill it.
Sure.
Look, who's in that prison cell?
It's Zeratul.
Please,
Some Archon wannabe.
I know. I could just merge with my other side. Oh. Now as you can see, air units can attack through that.
Oops.
Unfortunately, ground units cannot. Okay, so that was a pretty good catch. This will allow Protoss to focus in and try to take on this push. But from now, we have the Terran with real ground access.
Yeah. There's only 2 siege tanks here. So that does make it a little bit difficult to deal with these goons. He's not going to just splatter them like you might see in another situation.
Yeah.
Good amount of galls, though.
Forcing extra sieges is always very helpful. You know, if you just run up, and once he's unsieged, you run up, and then he sieges, you run back. You're buying a considerable amount of time.
This is, I'm excited to see how this goes for Ample. And this is kind of do or die, by the way. Ample's TVZ is not that hot, so...
Yeah, he really needs to win here.
His TVP is his best matchup for sure.
So he's going to open this up a little bit further. We do have 4 carriers ready. That's a pretty scary number.
There's enough galls to keep those back for now.
What's more important right now is that Protoss builds up a large ground army with the air army.
Of course, if you don't understand what you're seeing here, they're stacked buildings so that you just can't kill them quickly. Splash damage will kill them the most quickly because it'll do damage to all of them at once. There you go. Okay, just trying to kill off some of the interceptors here. You can't really target carriers, you just have to erase the interceptors, but 1 tank is already gone. That was 1 out of 4 tanks, so that is 25% of his tanks are gone now.
And the Terran is kind of forced to keep making Goliaths here. Now, 6 carriers is a much scarier number. There might be enough Goliaths, though. He wants to see if he can't snipe down a tank. The tanks are very well positioned far away.
Realistically, Rangy should be pulling back. Yeah, there he goes. I'd love to see him just kind of go up the side a little bit here and try to pick off another tank, because the Goliaths coming through that choke won't really fare very well against the Dragoons. The tanks are so critical. And it looks like he is going to rotate over here where the tanks are on the side. He has an observer spotting everything right now.
So he's going to come on the side here. Now, getting these 2 tanks is huge, and he's absolutely going to do that. A little bit of a misclick, actually, there.
Oh, my God. He's just targeting down all the tanks right now.
Okay, so now he's down to 1 tank, and it looks like all the carriers, excuse me, are going to get away. And now I think Protoss wins. Well, I don't know. Harangue's not doing the most graceful job of this, but I think he's with all the tanks gone.
Left now, yeah.
Now Dragoons are fine against Goliaths.
Yeah, they absolutely are. He gets a mine that hits, which is pretty decent. But there's a lot of carriers right now.
Now here come those wraiths. There's observers over here just to the right of the carriers. Tanks are back again.
Yeah, there's 2 of them, actually.
Okay, the wraiths have been taken out. It's going to be a long time before we can rebuild that. The observers are killed, but only after the wraiths have already been killed off. And thus the observers filling their role, serving their function. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was brutal. That was not good execution from Ample on his wraiths. If you're going to put that much gas, that was 3 or 4 cloaked wraiths. That's a huge investment.
With the amount of time we've seen these 6 carriers, there should be 2 more out, making the total to 8, although I haven't seen those merge up with this army yet.
I think he lost 1, didn't he?
Oh, you might be right. I might have missed that.
So probably 7 carriers now. And we should have +2 attack done for Ample by now, I would say.
One thing, though, there is a 3rd base that's been taken here. And so the Terran's 3rd base is in a location where it's just kind of hard for the Terran to get to.
I love that he went plasma shields first. It's so funny.
Yeah, I know. That's it's actually not common to see that, but you know, I guess it makes sense. If you're going to get air and ground, why not boost the shields up?
I think it's fine. All right, a drop coming down at this third base. Just dropping a few Goliaths off. Obviously, I can deal with the Dragoon.
This is why on the smaller island locations, it's so important you have carriers that are already finished there. Cannons are always going to be great against a ground army dropped right by them. Okay.
Probe's coming back. Doesn't look like he's really going to get too much done with this small Goliath drop, but if it buys him some time, maybe that's what he needs. Oh, God, he didn't run away with the dropship there, unfortunately.
Yeah, things are getting a little scrappy here. Protoss can now comb through the center of the map, taking out the mines. This really darkens the map as we're seeing Protoss tighten his grip on map control overall here. Now, I don't believe that Harangi actually knows about this third base. He might suspect it, but I don't think he's seen it.
Yeah, I believe you're right on that.
So when he sees it, it should just be dead. I don't think Terran has any way to fight back on that.
All right, now the Dragons, by the way, we just saw that those little beacons in the center will give some vision.
Right.
So seeing that his opponent is moving into that area. Of course, the carriers showing why they're so strong on these island maps. There's really literally no way to defend that other than something cheeky like this.
Okay, here are the Wraiths. There is observers somewhere, though, right?
I'm sure with his goons. Yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
Hey, he didn't lose the command center yet, so that's good.
The real problem when you go for Wraiths is that once you've lost the fight, the odds of the next group of Wraiths succeeding in any way is very low.
If they succeed, your opponent really blundered.
All right, he's going to go for a snipe here.
And now he's actually running out of cloak energy, so even if he were to kill it...
Yeah, that's right. It's still just going to be there.
I feel like the Wraiths have been a disaster this whole game. The first Wraith was fine, of course, but then to go cloak and like attack with 3 Wraiths, and then like attack with 3 more Wraiths after those died, I'm not so sure about those moves.
Terran's pushing up here. Now the tank count is enough that Protoss has to respect that. Whenever you see these fights, both sides are trying to throw the unit composition off to where one side can landslide and force a win here. In this case, ideally, if the Protoss could snipe the tanks here, then the Dragoons can win the fight. If the Goliaths can take out the carriers, then the tanks and Goliaths win the fight.
Okay, here we go. Coming up and sniping these tanks. 1 tank down, 2, 3 tanks going down. Here's the 4th tank going down, the 5th tank going down, the 6th tank going down.
Say it with me, everybody, the 7th tank.
And that is going to be that for this game.
GG. Protoss wins.